evening, sports fans. Welcome to Sports Desk. We've had our own little show here. This is such a little hot panel here. We've been doing our own little thing. Here I'm Paul on the ball, and I'm very happy to have a very illustrious panel here with me this evening. I have with me the Honourable Marlon Penn, the member for the 8th District. Along with him is the President of the BVI Football Association, Mr. Andy Bickerton. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, Paul.
Well, it's great to have you here, and we're going to get straight into this one because this is pretty exciting stuff. Member for the 8th District, Mr. Honourable Marlon Penn, I understand that there's going to be a multi-purpose stadium being built in your district. What is happening?
Yes, Paul. We had a community meeting last evening to discuss our plans. We're partnering with FIFA, our BVI Football Association, in conjunction with FIFA, BVI Olympic Committee, and our Eastern Lanark District Council to develop what we call the Stevens Estate, Stevens land up behind of the community center, develop a multi-purpose system stadium for our community. So we're excited about, just want to talk to the people of the territory, what our plans are for that stadium and for the community.
Now, before I get into that, and before I get to the President of the BVI Football Association, I want to go back a step because a couple of months ago there was nothing in East End. Suddenly Greenland appears. Now we're going to have Greenland and a second multi-purpose complex. East End is just, they can't have some more than that, can they?
Yes, and they elected me to work, and I'm doing my work.
It seems that way to me.
But this whole initiative with FIFA, the BVIOC, and the Eastern Lanark District Council started over about a year ago, Andy, when we started discussions where, when I took office in 2011, one of the things I decided to do is set up what we call a district council that is separate from the political electorate, that could look at issues specific to our community and come up with solutions and ideas to grow our economy, look at the social development issues, look at youth development, look at health and safety, and another area that we want to look at is our cultural heritage. So I engaged Mr. Ron Potter, who is the head of the Economic Development Committee, to look for opportunities and ideas for us to develop economically in our district. And one of the ideas that he brought to the table was the whole partnership with FIFA and BVI Football Association, which has been on the table now for over 10 years. And it's something that FIFA has been trying to do for some time.
Well, as you mentioned, I'll get straight to the President here. Donald Marlon Penn says it's been 10 years. I'm sure you can certainly support that. I know it's something we've spoken about years and years ago, in the days when both cricket and football were fighting to get a field.
Yeah, sure. It's a real exciting development from our point of view. So when I was approached by Ron Potter on the possibility of putting in a multi-sport stadium there, it was something we want to embrace because I think, as the public know, there's money available from FIFA. And you and I have discussed this before, that the BVI is one of the few countries in the CONCACAF region, I think 3 or 4, that have never had a gold project. So FIFA are strongly behind the BVIFA. And of course the way it works is FIFA themselves, the only property they own is in Switzerland, where their buildings are. Right. They partner with the member associations to provide financing to build facilities in the member association's country. So this is basically FIFA partnering with the BVIFA, and then the BVIFA partnering with the National Olympic Committee and obviously with the 8th District Council, the government, in getting this project underway.
No, Andy, recently you and I sat in the Cayman Islands and we listened to, was it the President of CONCACAF speak about his dream to see all the different CONCACAF islands come together and become a greater force. Said one day, this region can win the World Cup. Certainly for the BVI, this has to be a plus.
Absolutely. If you look at the progress that we've made with our youth program, it's become obvious that the youngsters here enjoy playing football. And, as we've discussed before, it's important to give the children something to do when they're not in school so they don't get into trouble and they're gainfully occupied. So it's not only a fitness thing, it's also keeping them out of trouble. And we run the after school program for the youngsters. We're translating that into teams that they can play in so that they garner the self-esteem and the understanding you have to work together to be successful. And from the District 8 point of view, if football continues the way it's going right now, In 10 years' time, we're going to have expanded from 12 adult teams, probably to double that. And so therefore, if the East End is the centre of football, there's going to be a lot of economic benefit for that particular area, because obviously by that time we would hope to have our champion team competing in CFU, so we'll have other teams coming in from neighbouring countries, also hopefully from the Winwoods, and also we'll be hopefully hosting more international games as our youth teams get better and our national team gets better. More people will want to come and play us and hopefully here. And so, there's a significant long-term benefit, I feel, for the East End community, particularly, as you say, they've got, the Greenland field with basketball there. In this multi-sport centre, there's going to be netball for the girls, volleyball court, track and field, and a football field.
I want to get back to netball a bit, as you mentioned, but Honourable Penn, so tell us a bit more about the marriage and all the parties, how it all came together.
Well, Paul, it came together we started a discussion, like I said, about a year ago, and we've been working together for some time, looking at the possibilities with the property and the possibilities with the partnership. So we started with the football, then we looked at the possibility of putting a track in place. That materialized, and we looked at the fact that we don't have a netball court / volleyball court, and we looked at making that marriage as well. So we were able to put all the pieces together, and then we have the proposal that we have right now that we brought to the public last evening. You
seem to be sort of getting everything just about right, because in Grenada recently, when the Ministers of Education got together, there was a segment of its own that lasted a couple hours, specifically focusing on OECS netball and their desire to see it brought back. And one of the main reasons why it's been asked to be brought back, and it's actually going on into the next agenda meeting as a item of its own, is because it says that they have noted that the level of pregnancy has risen in young females because they have not fewer things to focus on, and netball is one of the main sports outside of soccer where women can actually play.
That's an important point, actually, Paul, because one of the things that was present on the Greenland field previously was a netball court. And I remember growing up in Eastern and playing basketball, we always had the girls playing the netball on the other side, and we playing our basketball. Sometimes we even joined in with the girls and played some netball. So when the field was closed some 4 years ago, it created a void in our community as far as netball is concerned. Many of the women from our community has continuously asked me, when are we getting back on netball court? And I found it as a perfect opportunity in this marriage with Andy and BVI Football Association and the BVOC to be able to bring that sport back to our community.
It certainly is a win-win situation. Yeah. Certainly, Andy, I'm sure from your perspective, the FIFA is more than happy to have that marriage.
Yeah, I'm FIFA delighted. As an example of that, they sent in a representative last night to attend the meeting. She had a very busy schedule, but she came in yesterday afternoon. She left early this morning, but it was important enough to FIFA to have somebody here to support us in this particular project.
Right. So again, if you're listening, we're here live. It's Sports Desk. I'm Paul on the board. Along with me is the Honourable Marlon Penn, member for the 8th District. Along with him is the President of the VVI Football Association, Mr. Andrew Bickerton. We're going to take a short pause, thank our sponsors, which is Lime, also Speedies, who gets me across to Virgin Gorda, and the Roton Wholesale. When we come back, more talk about the multi-purpose sports complex, which is being opened in East End.
Sports Desk is sponsored by Lime, the better, faster 4G network.
And welcome back. I'm Paul on the ball. Along with me is the Honourable Marlon Penn, the member for the 8th District, and with him is the President of the BVI Football Association, Mr. Andrew Bickerton. And we're talking about a multi-purpose sports stadium which is being built in the East End in the 8th District. And Honourable Marlon Penn, it's quite a unique partnership that this whole thing has been put together. Tell us a bit about that partnership. From
Yeah.
your perspective, obviously.
Yes, yes. It is a partnership. It's not a government project. It's a partnership between BVI Football Association, by extension FIFA, and a partnership between the BVI Olympic Committee and the BVI and the Eastern Isle District Council. Like I said, this partnership started, and we started discussions over a year ago. We came up with a framework for us to move forward and come to the public and discuss how we can move forward and develop that area within our community. I don't know if you've passed there in recent times, Paul, but that area is a real eyesore right now.
Yes, I have.
There's a lot of derelict vehicles, a lot of, it's been in a state of disrepair for some time now. I've had discussions with members of the community who has expressed their deep concern for how that area has deteriorated. So, like I said, we forged this partnership. Mr. Bickerton, through FIFA, had access to significant funds, which they've been trying to invest in the BVI for, like I said, over 10 years now. We got preliminary approval from FIFA to go ahead with the project. Government's responsibility as it relates to the project is to guarantee the partnership as far as a leasing. We're looking to put a trust in place, a trust that's made up of FIFA, government, BVIOC, to manage the facility, as well as a management board who's responsible for the overall management of the facility. Government will also contribute to the infrastructural work as it relates to the parking lot. We're going to have about 200 parking lot spaces.
200?
200.
That's impressive.
There's a 1.2 acre strip of land across from the Greenland field that we're going to develop a parking lot, which was part of this year's budget actually. It was budgeted for this year, and there's additional space that we'll have as far as parking. And there's an access road. Right now, I don't know if you've been to Greenland recently. We had an event. It's jam-packed. You can't, when you get in, it's difficult to get back out. It's a real traffic mess.
That's correct.
So what we're proposing as well is to create a bypass road behind our Francis Lesson Primary School. Currently, there's a gut there, and there was a road previously, and we're going to reinstate that road, build up the road, and create a bypass. So when persons come in, it's a one-way in, and then when you're leaving, you leave out through that area. That improves the whole situation as far as emergency as well. And in case of any emergencies, easy bypass out of the Greenland field, and then you have sufficient parking, as I mentioned, for both facilities as well.
Before I get to Andy's part of the partnership, I just want to make this point that you mentioned that that whole area, which was like a junk heap, which you're trying to get fixed. But at the time when the Olympics was being planned, I used to drive through Stratford every day, and the whole area where the Olympics was actually staged was a junk heap.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, it was a real eyesore. You used to pass it; it looked terrible, and it was the Olympic president the president of the Olympics in England, Seb Coe.
Seb Coe, yeah.
Who said, well, why don't we use that area? And they said, well, it can't be possible. And when people that went there for the Olympics would not have believed that area was actually a junkie. Yeah. So, it's all a matter of, again, like I say, we've got to give you guys kudos, thinking outside the box and saying, listen, this is the area here, let's use that. So that's I just sort of throw that in, whatever it's worth. So the partnership, Andy, from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, from FIFA's point of view, as I said, there's funding available for us instantly. FIFA have rules in terms of when they're dealing with the local associations, in that if they're putting money into a facility, then they expect the local football association to have a measure of control over it. Normally they expect the land to be owned by the football association. Obviously in the BVI, one of the drawbacks for us in developing has been there's very little flat ground that's available. Correct. And that really has been the reason for the delay in getting anything done. So FIFA have relaxed their rules in our particular case. Excellent. Because we've made presentations to them about special circumstances here. And so as a result of that, the government will retain the ownership of the land. So that's a good start. Yes, sure. Obviously there has to be a lease of a certain period of time. Sure. So having agreed that with government, now we're in a position that we can move ahead. So once that lease is in place, FIFA are ready to disperse the first tranche of $500,000 to get us going. That's it. And then, as the Honourable Representative was saying, there's land up above the upper Greenland field, and it works quite well because we can take the fill from there, take it down to the lower field and level, because if you look at the ground there, it probably drops a good 10 feet.
Yeah.
Yes,
I remember at the AO Shirley, it was the same. The AO Shirley
Correct.
didn't look like it dropped
No,
much until they
right.
measured it.
Correct.
So it works quite sweetly that we can create that car parking area up above and then use that fill to level the field. And then with the covering of the gut by government, then that creates the space to be able to put in that 6-lane track around the outside, so that they can then use that for regional meets.
Right. Yeah.
And also, of course, don't forget, you've got Willard Wheatley, you've got Francis Letson,
yeah.
you've got the college just up the road. And if in the future there's a high school built in that area, there's already a facility there.
And there are a few other schools as well, Rainbow and a few others around.
There's some smaller schools
that can
training
use it
carts that could use it as well.
For sports.
Sports day that they have as well. And we have Bellevue and Hope Hill as well.
Exactly.
All those communities could utilize the facility. And like I said, I mean, it's a good partnership. FIFA is a reputable organization. It's one of the #1 team sports in the world, actually.
Well,
Yeah.
And they're not short of money.
actually, you might be open.
And they have deep pockets.
So I heard as the president. But actually, Honorable Penn, this actually might be open a bigger kind of world than you think. I'll put it that way because the rules of track and field is that the main stadium, and if you go to Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad, and other places, you actually can't use the main stadium unless it's for competition. You are now building a track in the East End. That may end up becoming the use for all the training athletes.
Yeah. Well, our vision is not to really build a competition track.
Right.
Because I mean, there's some concerns right now with the track in Rotown, where I'm hearing a lot of athletes complain about getting injured with shin splints and those type of stuff. We're looking at a recreational track, a practice track where persons could come, walk in the mornings, exercise, get a safe environment to exercise and walk. We preaching this healthy lifestyle.
Right. But I'm actually saying from a positive standpoint in that the fact that you're going to have that track, then it is an all-weather track that you're putting down there, correct?
Well, we're still toying with.
But if it is, I think it would be a good thing if we can afford it, because it now means that we can take the weight of the main track, which is really only supposed to be used for competition. I mean, I think we're too small to be able to afford to do that. But what we can do is take a lot of the weight, the morning sessions that the athletes usually do on the track, a lot of the walkers that usually, because people drive from all over the country to walk in the morning. So why not drive to East End instead and walk there?
Well, actually, Paul, that's sort of the idea that we're looking at as well, to create a safe environment, take some strain off of the track in Rotown, and plus, East End Laurel community is the biggest community in the territory. We have the largest population, and a lot of our residents right now walk to the airport, and it's a hazard. You have persons who are driving.
But every time I'm rushing to catch a plane, I'm driving through all these walkers.
Exactly. So so you want to create a safe environment for our community. Persons could come and walk. The Francis Letson, Willard Wheatley have their track meets trained. I remember when I was at Willard Wheatley, we were one of the top. We were never out of the top 3.
I was going to say we could expect some track styles now instead. Some more.
Myself, it used to be myself and Dion Crabbe.
I was going to say, of course, Dion.
That represented Francis Willard Wheatley at the time. Yeah. We were never. We were always, competing with the big mighty Scatliff. We were never able to topple them, but we competed very well. But we've fallen off in recent years, and I think it's a lack of facilities.
Absolutely.
Why the kids in our community have not competed as much as they should have.
Right. Now we're in the tyranny of the clock. So before we finish, I have a text here, and I have been informed it is important that I read it. So the text says, and I'll read it. It says, be aware that there's netball starting next week at Save the Seed with 5 teams. So thank you for that text. So for those who don't know, in fact, coming up next will actually be that discussion with my host, who is here, Mr. Carl Catliff, and talking about the up and coming league with the over 40s, which has been extremely successful, incidentally, in Virgin Gorda. But we'll come to that in a minute. Gentlemen, in closing, first we'll give you, Mr. President, your feeling about the whole multipurpose complex and your marriage with
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm delighted that we found a way to get this done. You know, to use the FIFA money and obviously be able to build a facility that doesn't just cater to my particular sport, but caters to a whole number of sports, and will enhance that community. I feel, both from a social and from an economic basis. So yeah, really excited, really pleased that we've managed to come this.
I bet you're excited. Yeah, I'd be excited if it was cricket as well. It has not a problem. It's very soon about cricket as well. And on pen,
I am excited. And he's excited because it means that we're able to tap into funds that FIFA has to offer. I mean, it's a good partnership. We know we are moving ahead in terms of infrastructure works that were already in plans, so we could marry this relationship with FIFA. The socioeconomic benefits are enormous. You know, we're looking at construction as being one of our third largest pillar. There's a number of opportunities will be arrived in as far as to construction industry. A lot of locals will benefit from this initiative. We're looking at the social impact. Like I said, the safe environment for persons to walk, exercise. The kids, the children at Francis Letson, Willow Wheatley have a place to train and compete now. It's a win-win for our community, and I mean, looking at the long-term relationship with FIFA, an organization that's not going anywhere, and this relationship only could build from here.
Absolutely, and I'm very excited as well the fact that we now get the females back out playing netball.
Yes, I'm really excited about that. I'm sure I'm going to get a few calls from the excited the young ladies in my community who've been calling me forever about this netball.
Well, it's
situation.
important because, like I said before, for those who are listening, the OECS are really beginning to push netball now through the whole region. They want to have rankings for the whole OECS, and they're encouraging and imploring that each individual territory begin to have netball, active netball, because barring St. Lucia, St. Vincent, a few of the bigger Jamaica, these places, which are actually world ranked. Outside of that, the rest of the OECS netball has died, not just in the Virgin Islands, through Nevis, St. Kitts, Anguilla, all those places, it's died. So, you know, they want to see it back, and it's important for the females to have something to do.
Thanks to FIFA, we're on our way.
Thanks to FIFA. People's thinking about the females.
Exactly. We're well on our way here.
But don't forget, a third of our youth players are female.
Well, there you go, absolutely. So certainly it works hand in hand. Again, another marriage. But gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you
It's
for
certainly
having us.
been enlightening, and I'm sure folks are going to be very excited, especially the women. They get to play netball and soccer.
Exactly.
So they'll be good. So we look forward to seeing that as that progresses, and hope as well sooner than later, obviously, we'll get that contract signed. Coming up next, we have, as I said before, the over 40s, along with my main man, Mr. Carl Scatliff, talking about that league coming up, and it includes, as he said, an over 40 ladies netball at Save the Seed. So we'll stick and stay with us. We take a pause for sponsors, and we'll be right back after that word.
Sports Desk is sponsored by Lime, the better, faster 4G network.